Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic.
Hello, American Patriots. Welcome to another episode of the Douglas Ducote Show. I'm glad you're able to be with us tonight. We have a packed show, two very, very special guests that are going to expose some information about our border, as well as where we could be in the very near future if we don't pull our heads out and secure what's happening right here in America. Before I tell you about our guest, let me just, mention the circus that many of you have been watching today. If you haven't seen it, now that it's over with for the day, at least go on YouTube and look it up. Watch the video of the impeachment inquiry that the Democrats are doing against President Donald J. Trump. Once again, they brought on two witnesses, actually four witnesses today, and not a single one of them helped the Democrats' narrative in any way, shape, or form. In fact, it backfired on them. Without a doubt, hands down, Adam Schiff is the biggest idiot in the United States of America. I've been glued to this. I'm telling you, folks, why the Democrats' leadership, like Nancy Pelosi, allows him to continue in the lead position of this inquiry, I don't know. Unless she's secretly working for Donald Trump to embarrass the Democrats and make damn sure President Trump gets reelected in 2020. Because if anyone was to watch what I've watched, then you would know that this is nothing but a farce. And it's an outright embarrassment. Adam Schiff should be ashamed of himself. Adam Schiff is a disgrace to our Congress. He's a disgrace to our country. He is so stead-focused that this president of ours committed high crimes and misdemeanors, that even when the witnesses that he brought forward aren't corroborating what he's saying, he won't let it go. He keeps going forward and sitting there with them big old bug eyes staring at you, which is kind of creepy, actually. So, look, I say keep going. Let it roll out. And at the end of the day, when the House votes, and I'm sure they're going to go that far, it's going to be interesting to see how many Democrats actually would like to get reelected come 2020 in their districts, back away from the impeachment, because they're going to look like a big fool like Adam Schiff. Look, I'll be the first person to tell you that doesn't matter to me, Democrat or Republican. We send you to Washington, D.C. for 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, or to be a member of Congress or the Senate, and you're up there screwing off, and you're up there making an idiot out of yourself or doing things for your own benefit and not we the people, then I'm the first person to call you out. And I'm here to tell you that the Democrats have yet, going on 3 years, brought up anything that even resembles impeachment. But yet, here we are with them spending, yet again, more of your money. The American taxpayer is funding this dog and pony show from hell. Anyway, folks, in our first segment tonight, we are going to have on Maria Espinoza, the founder of the Remembrance Project, which allied angel moms, dads, and families with Donald Trump during the 2016 presidential election. The angel families, as you will probably remember, are the ones that have lost a loved one to illegal immigrants that have killed them. Maria is the creator of the Stolen Lives quilt, a visual memorial that honors and remembers Americans killed by illegal aliens. Maria is nationally recognized as the foremost expert on the impacts and costs in human lives that open borders and non-enforcement of immigration laws are causing. You may have seen her on Fox News, Fox Business, NRA TV, OAN TV, and dozens of other networks. Maria Espinoza is now running for the United States Congress to represent the people of Texas, and that's a damn good thing. We're also going to be bringing on Jason Bartlett. He is a South African activist who is standing up to corruption and law enforcement and violence he and his family have endured in South Africa. There is major corruption within South Africa with the local police, everyone involved there, the government system. And if we don't help them in some way, shape, or form, put an end to this, this is the same type of problem that we'll be faced with right here in America. I can see the writing on the wall. Having paid attention and did my homework on what Jason is going to expose tonight, I'm here to tell you what's happening over there can and will reach over here and affect us too. So I'm glad you're with us. Sit back, relax, as we bring you another wonderful, great episode of the Douglas Ducote Show, and we'll be right back right after this commercial. Hello, American Patriots. Douglas Ducote here. The Second Amendment, it's not for hunting. It's for protecting ourselves against our government. Well, the last thing you need to worry about is your weapon being rusted and not working. Folks, here's your product. FirearmGuard.com. Use promo code Doug for free shipping. This will protect your weapon from any rust and mildew issues. Welcome back, everyone. Please welcome Maria Espinoza. That's a great job there, Mr. Producer. Let's see if we can't figure out how to get that started.
We're working on it right now. I apologize, Doug. That was my mistake.
Maria, I'm going to be right back. Hold on.
That was... Man, I've never made a mistake like that. I feel horrible for that.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. Give me 1 second here. That would be interesting if that was the entire interview.
No, folks. Maria's still with us. Just give us a second.
Yeah, we pronounced her name wrong, and then we decided to cut the entire thing. Let's see if we can get that queued up. Here we go.
Welcome back, everyone. Please welcome Maria Espinoza.
Wait a second. All right, we got some serious problems over here. Here's what's going to happen. Here's what's going to happen, Doug. This is terrible. But folks, this is what it's like when you're unscripted.
I'm having a flashback to Real World Witness days.
Oh my God! I think what we're gonna do is, why don't we jump over to Jason?
That's a great idea.
Well, this stops looping out the wrong one. So yeah, let's jump over to Jason on this.
There's approximately 2 farm attacks every single day and 2 brutal farm murders every single week for the last 20 years. Why has nobody said anything? By the time the mainstream media finds out about this, it's going to be too late, and I don't want people to remember us next year. I want them to stand up for us now.
All righty, folks. We will be back after this with Maria. But first, please welcome Jason Bartlett. He's a South African activist who is exposing the corruption in law enforcement and violence he and his family and others have endured in South Africa. Jason, thank you so much for coming on the show. And we are honored and blessed to be able to have you and to share your story, brother.
Thank you very much, Doug. It's an honor to be here, and just thank you for your service and everything, and your current service. What you're doing is absolutely brilliant.
Thank you. Thank you. Jason, many people, including my audience, don't have an understanding of what is happening to white Christians and farmers in South Africa. Can you give us a brief overview of this tragedy that has taken place?
It's actually pretty scary that nobody knows, because it's all over the media. It is clearly and distinctively being swept under the rug. You can ask each and every South African, as soon as you land at the airport in Johannesburg, if they're not rude and ugly to you and tell you what are you doing here, they go and straight. You can ask anybody, and someone will know someone that's been tortured or murdered or butchered or just downrightly attacked just for the basis of their skin color. Yes.
Oh my geez. So, I mean, it's almost like what we're experiencing with ISIS terrorists in the Middle East.
Yeah, I mean, but at least you've got someone fighting against ISIS. There's nobody fighting against for us. Nobody's helping us. I mean, you've got countless people being killed. There's been 396 attacks since the 1st of January to the end of October, and nobody says anything. 43 brutal murders. Half of these people are tortured, burnt with plastic, strangled. My cousin shot through the back of the head, strangled with fish nylon, and then called a white bastard and then burnt. I mean, how does this work? And nobody says something, Doug.
And that's, what I was going to ask you was about, we heard that your family's been directly affected by this, by these horrible crimes. Who all in your family has been personally affected?
In my personal family, first of all, myself, I've been involved with 8 people tried to attack me on a farm in 2011. I fire off warning shots. They disperse. They come right back. You know exactly what they're there for. I've been attacked. I've been attempted to be stabbed and hit in the face while they try to stab me. Luckily, I fought it off. And you go to the police, and the police say, we won't help. My cousin Dion shot through the back of the head, comes out of the front of the eye, while he's got his Born in Africa shirt on, because we've been there since the 1820s. And look what he looks like. And this, just because of, for what reason? They shoot him through the head and then they burn him. And they call him a white bastard, and then they go after the rest of the family. The 2 little girls had to witness this, and they hit with crowbars, and they hit my other cousin with a crowbar as well. Thank the Lord that someone actually came. My mother's cousin was actually chopped up and buried in the backyard. Nothing happens. My girlfriend's grandfather goes and gets tortured for 3 hours while they drink his whiskey and hit him to death and strangle him with his telephone cord. And then he dies 2 weeks later, and the doctor and the police say on his death certificate that he died of natural causes. Ursula, her grandmother, raped to death, dies of being raped to death by more than 4 or 5 people, and she says to have died of a heart attack. This is ridiculous. This is pure evil. What is happening? How can nobody say anything? We need help.
It's all because of the fact that they're white and because they're Christian.
Yes, it's because they're white and because they're Christian. Because the people are going out. And Julius Malema from the economic freedom fighters, the so-called freedom fighters, who are imposing this land expropriation are causing land grabs that are become worse than Zimbabwe. And they're going out and they're inciting violence. They're saying, shoot the farmer, shoot to kill, one bullet, one settler. I mean, what is this going on? It says we're not calling for the slaughtering of white people, at least for now, with those evil eyes, at least for now. So when is it going to come? Is it going to come before the 1st of January, before I get to the White House? Are they going to call for all of us to be slaughtered? What's going to happen?
You know, what sadly is happening right here in America, and I'm sure you've seen this, is we have these, and they're white, these far left liberals that when they do talk about this tragedy that's happening over there, they try and form it in a way to say that, oh, it's justifiable for what the white man has done to the black man throughout history with slavery and so forth. You know, I don't give a, whatever happened back then, that's not our problem. We're not responsible for that. We welcome all people of all color, and we want to all get along. And to see that happening over there is just unbelievable. It's unacceptable. And more mainstream media needs to be involved with covering this story and putting it to the forefront, just like we're trying to do right now with our border. You know, we can't get anybody to talk about this anymore. While people are flowing across with drugs and cartel and MS-13 gang members, and they're killing Americans and slaughtering people. Well, you've got that happening over there because you're white and Christian. And
yeah, exactly.
It's very difficult to wrap your head around what's happening, not just in America, but as we know now, in Africa and all other places of the country. President Trump is aware of this genocide. We know that. Have you seen any movement from the Trump administration? The United States, we know, is paying $510 million to the South African government. Are U.S. taxpayers unwittingly funding a white Christian genocide?
I completely believe they are. Without knowing it, they are, because the white person, as well as the poor black people in South Africa, are receiving zero. There are countless and thousands of black South Africans in South Africa that could run that country swiftly and smoothly, but they've got the barbaric corruption people like the Cyril Ramaphosa and those people that are in command. They are old tribalists and they are racists and they hate whites and they've got an agenda to kill us. Your president goes out and he denies to talk about these farm attacks. Yes, the American citizen right now is also responsible for paying those taxes and actually having people like us killed. We are out there. I've lost family members and I've lost friends and I've lost too many, and it is too much. In the 25 years that they have been in charge, it has gone and they've broken the entire backbone. South African Airways, who used to have a landing spot at Heathrow at between 12 and 2 o'clock, that was the first to go. And as a pilot, I knew that something was up. Now South African Airways completely bankrupt. Eskom is completely bankrupt, $6, $7, $8, or $10 billion within debt. Everything's gone. None of the money, none of the physical charity, not even a piece of maize meal is going to those people, or a bag of rice. They get nothing. It goes straight to government officials. They spend it, and they are inciting violence against us. Every single day there's an attack. Just before me waiting for this interview, 3 people were murdered. Just think of that. Because we rescheduled by a few days, which is 3 people were murdered.
Now, you're over there now?
I'm actually in the safety of Texas, because this is what the reason I chose Texas, because we've always known that this, it's the closest in America that is to South Africa for us. We've always dreamed that way. And also an interesting fact, when I grew up, the Dominican Republic of Congo was known as the most dangerous place in Africa. And I think you would also know that, right? It's scary to think that yesterday I went onto the internet and there are 3 times as many murders in South Africa than there is in the Congo. I mean, it's become a debaucherous anarchy. There's double murders. There's 4 double murders last month. Double murders, and nobody says anything. It's swept under the rug.
Do you see this level of violence happening in the United States if we don't stop the endless flow of refugees, migrants, cartel things, you know, that I've already mentioned, like what we're having the problem with the border right now. Do you see that as something that we're going to end up faced with here if we don't do something to not only control what we have in America, but also help stop genocide that's happening in other places, such as in Africa?
I see it as a terminal cancer at the moment in South Africa. So that terminal cancer, you look at it, and it's something that you don't know you've got it. And then you go and you delay the tests, and you say, well, I feel okay. And then all of a sudden you've got a basketball-sized tumor and you can't get rid of it. And that's exactly what's going to happen in the United States, because something comes in and it starts festering and get worse, and they change you from within. That's why you've got to protect your country from within. And that's where our country dissolved. It dissolved from within. And that's a warning to the Americans for yourself. Look, people, look. That's not what you want. That is anarchy. It's not freedom. The so-called long walk to freedom of Mandela. Really, what rubbish hoax is that? It's a lie. Anarchy. 57 people killed all the time is not murdered. It's not freedom. It's anarchy. The people are suffering. They're crying out, and no one wants to hear us because it doesn't fit their agenda. But you've got people like Adam Schiff saying let's look after the people in Ukraine who are dying daily. But what about the people that have got the core same values, the farmers that could feed the nation, that they could let in here, give a protection plan, and then sort out the country? Because it's all good and well. I don't sit here with a plan, but South Africa needs immediate action. They don't need, okay, we'll help we'll take a look into the situation. We need immediate action, whether they have to, and there's going to be so many people that want to stay, and that's understandable, but they need protection. They've done nothing wrong. I was born in 1987. Why should I be persecuted for it because I'm white? I didn't do anything.
Exactly. What? Tell us about this walk you're going to do.
So on the 1st of January at 8 a.m., I'm going to be leaving from the state capitol in Austin, Texas. And I'm going to go with the clothes on my back and a Bible in my hand. And I'm going to start walking in the brutal midst of the winter. And I'm going to walk to the White House. And I pray that those doors open for me and that action is taken. I apologize to each and every family member that will be killed during the time of me waiting before I start that walk and during that walk. I really do. But there has to be a call to action now. And if it's me sacrificing my one little body just so someone can see it, then I do that, because nobody's done anything at all.
I tell you what, here's what I'm going to do. I want to be a part of this. Okay. We're going to continue exposing this. We're going to continue working with you with this. I want to see your route once you have it all planned out. Share that with my producer. Either we're going to meet up with you along the route or start with you. I don't know how far I get because I have a back injury from my service. Okay. But I will endure whatever pain I can do and walk with you through part of this process. I wish I could go the whole way, but my body won't allow me to do that. But I want to be with you, brother, side by side, either in the beginning of this or meeting up with you along the way. And we will bring live news to it. We will share it on our show. We do live recordings while we're doing that. Okay. God bless you. Thank you for sharing this with us. Do you have, where can we find you, or at least the audience? You have any website going yet, or you have our Twitter accounts or whatnot?
Doug, everything I'm doing is out of the bare faith of God. It's just I've just started. I've only got a Twitter account. I don't speak on the behalf of any forums or anything like that, or groups. I'm a Christian, and I'm standing up for Christ, and I'm asking my people to stand up with me in America, all the Christians to stand up with me, and all the Christians, black, white, Indian, no matter what, in South Africa, stand up with us and unite, and let's go take our plead. You can find me at Buffalo Bartlett on Twitter. That's where you can actually see the live voices and the real true life stories. They're on the Twitter, on my Twitter. the content is there, I can lead you in the right direction.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing your story. We're going to be in touch. I want to be a part of this. I want to walk
Wonderful.
with you, brother. And I will.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
you.
And all my people do too. Thank you very much. And God bless you too, Doug.
All right. Thank you, brother. All right, folks, we're going to take a short little break. And hopefully we will have everything straightened out, and we'll be back with Maria.
Support our movement. Join our cause. Stop by the Douglas Ducote Patriot Shop to get your official Team Ducote apparel and gear.
And we are back. Please welcome Maria Espinoza, the founder of the Remembrance Project, which aligned angel moms, dads, and families with Donald Trump during the 2016 presidential election cycle. Maria, thank you very much for coming on with us today to talk about the amazing things that you've been doing. It's God-inspiring, and we sure do appreciate it.
Absolutely. And thanks for having me on, Doug. But you're right. God has had a big hand in our work for the last 10 years.
Yes, indeed. You've done a great service for Angel Family decade. Maria, what drove you to get involved with this? What inspired you to become an anti-illegal immigrant activist? Would that be a good way of putting it?
Yes, we're for laws. We would like for our elected officials to follow their oaths of office and follow our U.S. Constitution. But in 2009, my husband, Timothy Ling, he's a professional engineer by trade. And, I'm a businesswoman. We're not political. And when we heard there was a Houston police officer who was killed by an illegal alien, and within that report, they mentioned that another Houston police officer's widow, who was also a police officer herself, had filed a lawsuit against the city of Houston over their sanctuary city policies. And that's how we started this endeavor to be a voice for the voiceless. So we wanted to bring attention to the public. And really, we focused on the elected officials at first, because I thought certainly those elected officials had no idea what was taking place right in our own cities. And these sanctuary city policies basically gave illegal aliens a pass. My father, who was born in Mexico and came here the right way, it just seemed wrong. And here we are 10 years later.
And a lot of people, even citizens of not just the Houston area, but all areas across the country that have sanctuary cities, a lot of the residents don't even realize that even exists in their city.
Correct.
Which, I didn't know New Orleans was one, and I live in Louisiana. I kind of grew up in New Orleans, and, just during the last election, realized that they had become a sanctuary city. And, I found that just so appalling that anyone would be willing to allow that to happen to their city. So we've got to get more people involved in exposing what's happening within our own communities. You organized several angel families under the Remembrance Project, amplified each victim's story, and eventually got them on stage with then candidate and now President Donald Trump, secured them a seat at the table on policy solutions, and really turn your activism into action. Was this an easy accomplishment for you, or was this something that you had to dig deep down inside to just, and around other, political opponents not opponents, but people in the political scene to get your point out there, to express what's happening with these families?
Right. Well, it was a long journey, I can tell you that. As I mentioned, we started in 2009, and we had no idea really what we were doing. And right away, we realized that once our elected officials were not listening, that we had to get the message out there. And we thought certainly we weren't the only ones who realized that these killings were taking place all over the United States. We did our research. We did our research in Houston killings, then Texas, and all across the country. So we created the Stolen Lives Quilt banners, which was a mechanism for us to connect the dots and show the public what the media wasn't telling them. And now we know that there's fake news out there. And we knew that we were getting resistance from the liberal, more the Spanish media. And then we realized there was a liberal media. So we naively came into this, Doug, and we've learned a lot. I've attended murder trials. I've gone along the entire southern border. So we're very much hands-on. So the experience that we bring to the table is very unique in the way that, we're with the people. And we did start out as being a voice for the victims. But as we went on our 25-state tour and went from city to city, we met individuals and we met families and we were connecting and we wanted to support them. And as you see the resistance that President Trump is getting, especially in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, well, we knew that there was a problem within our judicial system, within the offices, not the system itself, but the office, those being the people holding those offices in powerful positions. And there's a story behind that. But all of this didn't just happen, and it has been a long journey. I mean, I volunteered for 9.5 years for the Remembrance Project, and just you pour out your energy, your resources, and just when you think people aren't listening, here comes Donald Trump and announces he's running for office for the President of the United States.
Right. And I'm totally on board with his immigration policy, although it can use a lot of tweaking, and we're hoping that he will listen to everybody, especially those like you, those of us like myself and our team that goes to the border and does a lot of reporting on it. We've come up with a lot of different solutions and ways to help get that border secure. And we will be we're going down there soon, this coming weekend, where we're hoping we have the opportunity to meet up with you, as well as in January, we're going to be doing a border tour where we start in Brownsville, Texas, and we go all the way to San Diego, California, and each step along the way, filming what we see, to show the American public that this is a major problem. It's not just one or two places, it's that whole border.
Exactly. And the big problem is that the cartels control the entire southern border. Right. And where the illegal alien crossings might have slowed down a little bit, but it's still astronomical numbers are coming across, and certainly not our border patrol, our ICE officials, it's not sustainable. But thank goodness that President Trump has worked very hard in trying to get Mexico to detain those individuals and for them to wait in Mexico. And a lot of those illegal aliens or potential illegal aliens, whatever you want to call them, asylum seekers and immigrants, working their way to come in here to the United States, not through the front door, but they're turning around and going home because they don't want to wait in Mexico. They know when they come here, they get great treatment. They go to these processing centers, and it's worth it to them to sit and wait for 20 days or 3 months or 90 days and be flown around the country on the taxpayer's dollar to wherever they want to go, supposedly waiting for their next court hearing, which they never show up for.
Right. And another thing that a lot of people don't realize, and it's been shown by different news organizations and different members of Congress, a false narrative. And that is what's actually happening where these people are being held at. Look, from somebody who's been to Mexico many, many times and all over Central and South America, it's like living in a mansion to them compared to what they came from. but yet they try and show it here in America as if they're drinking out of toilets and they're, not getting properly taken care of. They're not getting medical care. They're being abused. It's just, it's a shame that it's being portrayed the way it is. So that's one of the things we hope that we're going to be able to do is shed light on that.
Right. And I've been in those processing centers. I went to the one in Aurora and toured it just a few months ago, and very clean, I'm telling you, we did not run into one individual who seemed to be not happy that they were there. They had 3 square meals. They had a recreation center. They had iPads where they could text back and forth with their family. They could do social media. They had 2 medical doctors on staff. They had a dentist there. They had recreation items, or there were games, or they had law library. I mean, Doug, it's unbelievable the processing center, what it allows for these illegal aliens, and they love being there.
Yeah, they're and for those that are generally fleeing bad situations or fleeing the drug cartels and what have you, that's great. But sadly, we have people that are, infiltrated into that, that we all know, shouldn't be here. And, eventually we find them who they are and weed them out, which is a good thing. Switching gears, but yet on the same topic, because I know that you're going to be able to do even more than what you've already done, is that you are running for Congress.
I am.
In Texas.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about your platform and when's the primary in the election.
Okay. Well, I'm running here in District 7, which is Houston. But I want to clarify something too. You mentioned that these illegal aliens are fleeing from the cartels, but they're dealing with the cartels when they come here. They have to have, do business with the cartels when they come here to be carried over the border. So, that's a problem. But my congressional primary is in March, early March. And, there are opponents in my primary race. Last year, the Republican, John Culberson, lost his 18-year term here. And now Lizzie Fletcher, who is on board with Pelosi, on board with the impeachment. So that Democrat needs to be removed as quickly as possible. We certainly don't want her to be entrenched in there. My district is, a mixture, a demographic, but I think that the people here in this district are really tired of the same old thing, Doug, which is that they elect these politicians to do a job and they don't do it when they get into office. And, that is number 1 and 2, their concerns of a GOP poll that was taken this summer. That was a concern, but also illegal immigration was a concern. And those are my concerns. The reason I got involved was because I saw something wrong in the sanctuary city policies. And from there, we just learned more and more. And now, I've done everything that I can think to possibly do to get these individuals, these politicians, and especially we really press my congressman and, of course, Paul Ryan, Speaker of the House, former Speaker of the House, and he did nothing. We had the House, we had the Senate, and we had America First President, and nothing got done, and that's all intentional. So in order to change what's taking place in Washington, D.C., and local governments as well, I think we need to really send a message to not just the Democrats, but also the party. If you say you make a promise, then you fulfill it. And that's one thing that I really admire and with President Trump, which is he made a promise to me in 2016 that he would create an office to better assist the families of the victims killed by illegal aliens. And he created the Office of Voice, Victims of Immigration Crime Engagement. I was there for the executive order signings. He handed me the pen. So this man truly cares about our country. And I hope to get there and also, coordinate and collaborate with other and I hate to use the word conservative, because if you, for, God, family, faith, your country, you seem to be conservative, mommy, daddy, baby, but, we're pretty normal, and we leave other people alone, but yet we're called conservative. So over the years, I mentioned to you offline that, I have met with Congressman Goodlatte, Chairman Goodlatte, a couple times. I just met with Congressman Jim Jordan about 3 weeks ago. So I can hit the ground running. I have relationships with highly regarded organizations like Judicial Watch. So I'm the best qualified for this seat, and I know I can beat the Democrat. It's really common sense. And, I'll continue the work in championing American families.
How can our audience help? I guess we can start by going to, you have a website, I would imagine, for your campaign?
I do. It's mariaforcongress2020.com, mariaforcongress2020.com.
Okay. And are you active on Twitter or anything like that you would like to share?
I am on Twitter and Facebook, where they're not blocking me.
Yeah, I have the same problem.
Right. So my Twitter handle is Maria for America, and my Facebook page is the same, Maria for America. And my YouTube channel, I hope it's still up. I don't know. They didn't like the video I shot in Aurora, Colorado, with Michelle Malkin and Tom Tancredo and Randy Corporon. And I guess they flagged my video. And the next time I put something out there like that, I think they're going to shut me down.
Oh, boy. Yeah, we that's a balance that we fight here constantly. And sadly, as we get closer to 2020, I see it getting worse. Yeah. Maria, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. And I hope that we're able to this weekend to meet up briefly for a cup of coffee. Look, you are a great American patriot that is doing wonderful things for wonderful people and for God, and
Absolutely.
We appreciate what you do so very, very much. And anything we can do to help you in the future here at the Douglas Ducote Show, reach out. You've got our information. You've got contact with our producer, Dustin, and we're more than happy to assist however we possibly can.
Well, thank you, Douglas, for everything that you're doing as well, and God bless you. And I will refer some of the families so you can maybe interview them. I know you interviewed Angel Dad, Dan Golvach. Yes. But also another issue that I have is dear to me is the education, where our children are being indoctrinated instead of educated. So right. I have a good friend who is an expert in this and also has a national network. So maybe we could get her on as well.
Definitely. And anything along those lines, yes. We're more than happy to be a part of. Good. Thank you so much. God bless you. And we'll be seeing you soon.
Thank you. God bless.
All right. I'd like to once again thank our special guests, Maria Espinoza and Jason Bartlett, for coming on and sharing their stories with us. Look, what's happening here in America is happening times 1,000 in other places across God's earth. And I say God's earth because he expects all of us to somehow figure out a way to do the right thing and take care of each other. And we do a very shitty job of it, that's for sure. When people are suffering, it's up to us. Sadly, seems like only us to step up and do something to help. The problems we have on our border with Mexico and the drug cartel and the MS-13 gang members, the problems that we're faced with in Chicago with every night 20, 30 people being shot 2 to 3 being killed. And on the weekends, it doubles and triples. It's all black on black crime. Young black youth slaughtering each other. All across this country, we have horrible things taking place. But it's also happening across the globe. I've been to Africa. I've seen a lot of things there and in the Middle East, different locations across Europe, Central and South America, Mexico. I've been a part of trying to help those via my military job when I was in the military. Our government doesn't seem to have a problem getting involved in other countries if there's some type of financial benefit, some way that major corporations in America can make a shit ton of money. But when it just so happens that there are people that are being slaughtered for no reason at all other than the color of their skin or their religion, such as what was exposed tonight by Jason, it's happening in Africa. What are we doing? If there were major oil fields there, do you think we would be involved? If Shell and Exxon and Texaco were drilling their ass off over there, would we have U.S. troops doing something to stop this? Hell, we went into Somalia. Hell, we got one of their finest in our Congress right now. What is she saying about what's going on down there? Nothing. All she wants to do is trash us, our country. We go and we save her and her country. We bring her family over here as refugees, along with thousands of others, to turn around and tell us how to run our life. I'm one that I don't like war. Been there, done that. I don't believe that we need to be sending U.S. troops to engage in combat in things that aren't affecting us, but yet I have an exception when it comes to morals. Seeing people slaughtered just because of their skin color and their religion, for instance, with what ISIS is doing across the Middle East, and what we now know is happening in Africa. This evil must be stopped. And sadly, no one seems to want to give a damn about it but us. And not all of us. There are many that will say, the hell with Africa or the hell with the Middle East, bring our troops home. Who gives a shit about Chicago? I'm not going to go visit there. Let them just kill each other. Let me explain to you something. When violence goes unchecked and it's allowed to flourish, it's like a disease. It's like a fungus that will grow and spread and affect those that think they're untouchable by it. No one on God's earth can say that they're not going to be affected by allowing horrible things to happen and take place. So, regardless of what you think about conflict with the military or where our government should or should not be involved, I say this: if innocent men, women, children are being killed because they're American, because of their skin color, because of their religious faith, if any of that fits, then somebody has to do something about it. The ISIS terrorists need to be eliminated from the face of this earth. And those that are doing this genocide in Africa need to be eliminated. And their government needs to be held accountable. And their military and their law enforcement that's sitting idle and not doing anything about it. Just imagine, wherever you live, if it was just going to hell in a handbasket and people being slaughtered daily and nightly. Wouldn't you want someone to come in and help? Because one person can't do it all on their own. That's what we do as good humans. It's just common sense. But to get involved, like we have in the past, in certain conflicts, where it's to benefit corporations or political parties, and we go in it half-ass and don't finish it, then I agree, bullshit. Stay out of it. But we have the ability. The United States has the strongest, most powerful, most technology military available on this earth. So does our members of law enforcement. And if we actually wanted to, we could correct the problem in Chicago, in Philadelphia, and Memphis, and New Orleans, and Baton Rouge, and Oakland, and all these inner cities that are turning to shit. And we could fix ISIS once and for all and eliminate those little bastards. And we could also go over to Africa and stop this genocide. It's up to us to demand, to hold our representatives accountable to help mankind, instead of corporations to make billions and billions of more dollars. I've said it before and I'll say it again, the big difference between me, the Douglas Ducote Show, and the other news media you can turn into is, I'm going to be honest with you, brutally honest, and tell you the truth, because I'm not held to anybody's standards but God's. Nobody's paying me millions of dollars to tell you what they want you to hear, like CNN and MSNBC and now Fox News. Nope, doesn't work that way. I'd rather not do the show and not do videos if someone is going to censor my First Amendment rights. I'm here to tell you that I will continue to do everything in my power to expose corruption in our government and governments of other countries that we're sending millions of dollars to in aid. while their people are being slaughtered because they're white and they're Christian. That is unacceptable. And that is something we have the ability to correct just like that. I'd like to bring my producer on, Dustin Gold, before we close out the show. Dustin, brother, how are you? How are things going?
Oh, over here in the command center. Hey, I apologize before on that cut, but no, I just wanted to bring up a point that has to do with what we've been doing the last couple of weeks and where we're going over the next several days down to the border, as you were just talking about the military and some of these problems. And I know it's come up now that we put out a couple of videos that recapture the proposal that you put out in April after you went down to the border, which was to put 200,000 National Guard under the border under federal command on active duty so that President Trump would be in control of them and not the states, and they would be down there armed to be able to protect themselves. And as we're forming this solution around, the Terrablock physical barrier and the PID smart technology, and we add this National Guard component into it, because any wall system, any barrier system needs manpower. And I've been kind of mapping it out, working on some little graphics that we can show. If you have these guys stationed with 10 guys or whatever every mile, it's not very many. You don't even need 200,000, even in rotations. And one of the things, as you brought up the oil wars and all that kind of stuff, the question I've seen from the audience and a lot of the comments on these videos now, that they're seeing your solution on National Guard, is why the hell are we not protecting our border? I understand the cartel runs the southern border. We've heard that from a lot of experts. We have heard about the corruption at the border with Republicans and Democrat officials, even sheriffs down there, some border patrol. I mean, we get that, but the question is, why hasn't President Trump acted unilaterally? I mean, do you think, as someone who served and who works with veterans every day, that if all of a sudden the President of the United States said, here are your orders, we are going down to install this Terrablock system, this PID system, and we are going to man this border at least for the rest of my presidency. I am going to stop the flow. It's going to be dangerous. The cartel won't be happy. The bought-off politicians on our side of the border aren't going to be happy. But at least for the rest of my presidency, whether that's another year or whether that's another 5 years, I am putting this system into place. I am stopping the drug trafficking. I'll starve out the CIA. I'll starve out the cartels. And that's what's going to happen right now. And people tell me, well, wait. Maybe, they're trying to impeach him. They're trying to poison him. He has to wait till after the election. I think the best time to do it is right now, 1 year out from the election. Take action and do it now.
Yes.
I mean,
right
I
now.
know. And when you went down there, and we're going to have a lot more stories to tell, but I was rewatching your 35-minute video from when you went in April, and I mean, telling the stories about the dogs that are getting murdered, the Muslim training camps that are mixed into the cartel camps where they grab Christian babies out of the church and they were smashing their heads against the wall. The rape trees with the long chain and the collar, and they rape children and women. The bodies they find. We've heard stories now from our sources of the cartel skinning people alive, chopping their limbs off. Dan Goldwatch, Angel Dad, came on the show. I mean, an illegal alien who was all doped up on coke and booze, pulls up, shoots his son in the head in 2015 and kills him, and then goes off to have target practice with a number of other people that night. I mean, I think, President Trump, one of the things he ran on, other than build the wall, other than lock her up, and other than drain the swamp, which were, three major keys to his campaign. If you remember correctly, he said, I will be the law and order president. I will restore law and order. And sadly, what I'm seeing is all the way down to the street level, you have Antifa. I've seen a couple of these guys get prosecuted. But we know CNN, major news media, has already admitted, and Soros has admitted that George Soros is funding a lot of this. We're not going after the funding sources. Soros is involved with funding a lot of the caravans, actually in coordination with USAID and other groups that are funded by the State Department. So when you look at this, there's no law and order on the border, and there's no law and order with Silicon Valley and what they're doing. There's no law and order at the street level with Antifa. We need to see law and order. We're not even seeing law and order in Washington right now. This guy today, Vindman, gets up there. I've got our assistant producer, Chris. He cut some great clips for me today that I'm going to send over to Doug, and hopefully I'm flying down to his house tomorrow. He might have time to maybe cut something together. It was amazing today. This guy sat there and said the bureaucratic state of which he is part of, the National Security Council, we set the policy on Ukraine. We set the policy around the world. And the president refused to read my talking points as if the president that we elect to the highest office in the land answers to the bureaucratic state that are people we didn't even know who Vindman was until the last couple of weeks. So it's insanity. I'm not seeing law and order. We're not seeing We went to Politicon 3 weeks ago, and this pompous asswipe, James Comey, is sitting up on the stage with his legs crossed like a fruit basket with little colorful rainbow socks on, wearing a $5,000 suit, talking to the host like he's the Patriot, like he's George Washington. No care in the world. He comes in, he's got 20 private security guards. We couldn't tell if they were Secret Service or what. And you see John Brennan the other day when Roger Stone gets locked up tweeting at Trump, taunting him, Hillary taunting him. So there's no law and order at the highest level, and there's no law and order at the border, and there's no law and order in Silicon Valley, and there's no law and order all the way down to the Antifa terrorists that are funded by George Soros. Sadly, those are a bunch of meth heads. I think a lot of them get pulled out of foster care, and then they're trained and they're organized by community organizers like Saul Alinsky style. I mean, President Trump needs to deliver on being the law and order president, and I think deploying and even before the Terrablock solution, a deal is struck, the National Guard should be deployed tomorrow. Tomorrow. It doesn't make sense to me, and people are asking in the chat, does the President of the United States really have any power? Well, I would hope to say no, he doesn't, because if he does, then I really got to ask why President Trump isn't doing it. If he doesn't have power and they really got him handcuffed, then it makes sense to me, because I want to believe that when he brought angel families up there with him and when he does celebrations with veterans in the military, that is in his character. I truly want to believe that. And the stories we heard over the years that he never bragged about people he gave money to and people he's bailed out and things that he's done for just regular everyday people. I've talked to people who had worked for him for many years at different of his facilities and properties that said he was one of the greatest bosses ever. Those are a lot of the stories we didn't hear. The character we see is kind of the TV character Trump, the braggadocious guy. It's a marketing character, but when you go back and look at him in his 30s, he was very soft-spoken, a very humble guy. I think that is truly the Trump. But the question is, does he have power? Does he not have power? And if he has power, he needs to do this. He needs to do it now, and not just to rally the base and win an election, but because if a Democrat wins in 2020, let them come in on January 20th, let them be inaugurated, let them give their speech, and let them make their first order of business an executive order pulling all of the troops and the Terrablock system and the smart technology off the border, because then America will really see what these Democrats stand for when they tell you they want to erase our borders, they want to erase border security, they want to erase ICE. They're saying they want to erase the United States of America. They are 100% honest about this. They are allied with the radical Muslim faction of Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar. They got Cenk Uygur, who's running this time. That guy was born a Muslim. He lies when he says he's not. I've done a lot of research on him. He started the Justice Democrats that lifted up AOC and helped build a number of these other fake politicians that are controlled by him. And by the way, he's funded by DreamWorks, Jeffrey Katzenberg, to the tune of $25 million. That was actually public information. So you have these people. Their hand is here, but Trump could never force them to tear down the wall and call back the National Guard unless he actually does it. He needs to do this tomorrow. We're going down to the border. We're going to uncover more stuff. We're actually starting to get calls now from some people that are a degree away from some high places like Maria Espinoza and others who have had a seat at the table. Some, and I'm not saying her, are disappointed in the lack of action, the inaction. And so this is our last chance, going 1 year into the presidency, to the election. We have this one last chance. Solidify a solution. I know you guys aren't happy with every aspect of it. That's fine. We're not saying that we are the gods who decide. We're saying we're doing what we can in our power, with our resources, with our allies, with our connections, all put together because of you guys that have donated over the last few months to let us build a site, get this broadcast technology, make our show look more professional, invest in some equipment and things that we got to bring to the border. That's all because of you guys. So you lifted up our profile, made us more professional, that then allowed us to start getting some of these people we need to talk to us. Today, 2 of our new contacts and friends of the show just gave us connections to Border Patrol in high places, people that we wouldn't have been able to reach a month or 2 ago if it wasn't for you. But this is it. This year is it. Because if it doesn't happen under Trump, it isn't happening in my lifetime, and I'm only in my 30s. I think we go to some very dark places if it doesn't happen under Donald J. Trump. So I know the impeachment's out there and this coup nonsense, and you got to worry about rhinos in the Senate if they're going to betray him. But trust me, I think a lot of this is designed to distract us from the real problems that are going on, like Silicon Valley technocrats that are censoring the hell out of conservatives. They already announced December 10th. They've got us put in a box right now. They've got a new thing where you have to check each video if it's appropriate for kids under 18. Well, basically anything political is deemed not appropriate for kids under 18. So if you don't check the box, they're going to ban your channel. If you check the box, it automatically demonetizes the video. Now, so you guys understand, this is not YouTube of 5 or 10 years ago where people got rich. The way it works now is you monetize a video. If Doug gets 400,000 views on a video, you make about $12.21. So it's not about the money. But when you demonetize, it means the video doesn't go into circulation, so no one sees the video anymore. It can't be seen unless you go directly to the channel. So now they've got a new system they're implementing December 10th. If your videos, or the majority of your videos, are demonetized, which is YouTube's choice, even though now they're forcing us to do it, because if you don't check the box, you're going to be banned. If you check the box, you're demonetized, and now they got a new rule. It says that if the majority of your videos are demonetized, they can delete any video they want that's demonetized, and they could shut your channel down because you don't make money for YouTube anymore. So this is the level of censorship. Remember, last week, Facebook, this totalitarian, Mark Zuckerberg, who talks out of his ass, he's a fork-tongued scumbag, pretends on Hannity and other places he's our friend. Then Facebook says you're not allowed to say the name of the whistleblower or you're going to have your account shut down. The whistleblower that's already been reported, Don Jr. tweeted his name. I mean, it's insanity. So if he wants to do something, restore law and order, how is this going to happen? I don't know. But I'm telling you, we're going to get answers on this. The Terrablock can be done. We've already explained it. The PID system, we explained it. And the National Guard, Doug has explained it. And hopefully when we're down there over the next few days, we'll be able to talk to some more people on the border who have expertise in National Guard deployment. We're working on some other guests. But President Trump, please, just look at our solution. In the next couple of weeks, we're going to be banging on your door with your high-level contacts, demanding a meeting at the border on behalf of the angel parents, and we're going to have probably a dozen put together in the next week. And then we're working on veterans for border security. So if you want to be part of that, email us, Dustin@DouglasDucote.com or Douglas@DouglasDucote.com. Email us. Tell us you want to be part of being on the board of Veterans for Border Security. All the initial first people that get in, you guys could be in charge of the steering committee. We're not going to run it. We're going to help set it up, use our voice to set it up, and then let you guys run with it, because it's not a project we're trying to control. But this is it, folks. 1 year. Imagine if he doesn't get elected at the end of this year. Prepare for the fact that he doesn't get elected at the end of this year. Look yourself in the mirror every morning and tell yourself Donald Trump is not going to get elected next year, and then start to think of the laundry list of things that we need to accomplish before he's out of office. That's what I do every single day. I prepare for the worst, and that's why as we went into this the last couple of weeks, we said we got to lay out some solutions. We're not going to fix all of America's problems, but we got to lay out these solutions right now, demand a seat at the table, and do whatever the hell we have to do to help Donald Trump get that done. God bless you, Doug, and all of you guys.
Thanks, brother. I'd like to once again thank our guests, Maria Espinoza and Jason Burlett, for coming on tonight and sharing your stories with us. We will be talking more about them in the very near future. Dustin and I will be heading down to the border Thursday. We'll be down there Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We'll start heading back. We plan to have lots of footage and lots of interviews with people to continue to show you what is still going on that the news media refuses to cover. It is a travesty on a level that is unheard of. I know I've got friends down there working on that border. Folks, let me tell you, just today, our State Department asked the people that are building the concrete wall in a certain section, I believe it was Laredo, to stop. And they're asking people to stay away from there because of the cartel war on the other side of the border and bullets coming towards the people building the wall. Why don't we have freaking snipers down there from the United States military or law enforcement taking these son of a bitches out? We've got to tell Americans you can't go down there by the border, and the people building the wall have to stop because the people in Mexico are shooting at you? And we're doing what about it? There's a lot going on that we don't have answers to right now. But trust me, we're going to get them. And we're going to share things with you that you're not going to find anywhere else. And trust me, I'm already getting death threats for it, just because I talk about what's coming. And I know what's coming. I know what I'm about to expose. Look, served this country with honor, and I continue to do it. And I will do it until the day they bury me. And I hope there are other American patriots that are just as passionate as I am that will pick up my sword and continue going forward. But I'll be damned if I'm going to back down, because someone with a little more money than me or a little more power in government than me wants to threaten what I'm doing, because it might expose the truth. As always, please say a prayer for our men and women serving the United States military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, first responders, their families, they serve too. Our Blue and Gold Star families, our Angel families that have lost so many people, so many family members to illegal aliens that should have never been here in the first place. Please say a prayer for our president, our country, and all of humanity across God's earth. More so now than ever before. Not only do we need prayer, but we need action. And I'm going to do my best to see to it that at least action is done. Hope you all join me and stay with me as we continue to do this for you, the American patriots of this country. Hope you all have a wonderful and blessed day. And I don't ask for prayers much for myself, but please ask God to watch over us while we're down there on the border. We're going to bring you the truth if it kills us. Have a blessed evening, my friends. For now, I'm out.
I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially